Close-up or macro photography is an ideal way to reveal hidden details of otherwise everyday objects. And the best part, you don't even need to go outside to do it. You can achieve some fantastic looking results around your own home. Here I've got a plate of coffee beans. We all know how coffee beans look, but super close up you'll notice they almost have a natural landscape to them, like a canyon down the middle. So what I've done here is just scattered a bunch of beans onto a white plate for some contrast. And this in turn allows me to actually rotate the plate to pose them. I really like the way that they move diagonally across the frame. It leads your eye into the picture. And I've also got the plate on a darker slate here. I don't think this is going to appear in my shot necessarily, but it does protect me from having a more distracting background because I can just keep that behind it. So now, once you've got it framed the way you like, just tap the screen to focus on the subject which you want, which for me is the closest bean. And, well, in this instance, I found that it's not focused because it is just too close. But fortunately, some phones have got a dedicated macro mode that actually prepares the camera for focusing really closely. Here I've got a super macro mode accessible from a menu, and returning to my subject, I've already can see this amazing amount of detail on the cracks running along the middle of each bean. However, my perspective has now changed. I've got the close-up that I want, but I don't have the actual composition, those diagonal leading lines. So I'm going to have to change my position. So what I need to do is have a lower angle. I'm now kneeling on the floor. I'm in my super macro mode on the phone, and it's just a case of really positioning the beans using this plate, because what I can now do is actually move this entire arrangement of beans around just by moving the plate. It sounds obvious, but it makes it very quick and easy to recompose your shot. And what I want to do is have my main bean that I'm going to focus on in one corner, and I want to see the end of the arrangement at the top of the frame. I don't want them to scatter off the top. So I could just rotate this around until I like the way that this composition looks. Don't be afraid to push some of the beans around. I also quite like that you can see just very faintly the curve of the plate as well. But I'm going to have it in this position because that looks pretty good to me. And then I'm just going to tap on the closest bean, and yes, it will focus. So I'm going to take that shot. Sometimes you'll find that different phones will focus at different distances, and if it won't focus that close, just try moving a little bit further away. But if your phone has got really good close-up capabilities, well, try and bring the subject even closer. I'm going to move the plate right up to here, tap again on the subject, and see how well that can focus on that. And then when you've got a few shots in the bag, it's time to decide which is your favourite. In this shot, I'm using the phone's normal lens, and it's okay. You can see the shape of the beans and some textures on them, but it's just not close enough for the kind of detail that I'm after, although I do like this diagonal leading line from one corner to the other. So I'm going to try and retain that, but I want more detail on this bean in the front. In this photo, I've switched to the phone's super macro mode, and you can see already these lines that I was talking about across the middle of the coffee beans. There's so much texture inside them, and I really love the way that they look. This is the kind of size of bean that I want in my picture, at least at the front, but I've lost my perspective. The diagonal line from one corner to another has been lost because I'm just too close to this section of the composition. So what I need to do is change my angle. In this shot, notice how again the bean in the front is nice and large and it's in sharp focus because I'm using the phone's macro mode. Just look at that detail in the crack. That's exactly what I was looking for. But by going for a lower angle, I've been able to position the beans at the back of the frame a little lower down, and I've got my diagonal line back again. This is leading your eye from one part of the frame to the other while concentrating at the end on these beans at the front, which again have got this really lovely natural detail. This is my favorite one.